Here is a question nobody asks you. When was the last time you made a truly free financial decision? Not influenced by an ad. Not triggered by an emotion. Not nudged by an app designed by a team of behavioral psychologists whose entire job is to make you spend. Think about it honestly. Because if you cannot name one, that is not a coincidence. That is the system working exactly as designed. And today we are going to take it apart piece by piece. You already know the basics of personal finance. Spend less than you earn. Save. Invest. You have heard it 100 times. So why is it not working? It is not because the advice is wrong. It is because it assumes you are making rational decisions in a neutral environment. You are not. You are making emotional decisions in an environment that has been engineered at enormous cost to push you toward spending at every single moment. No amount of budgeting advice addresses that. Which is exactly why most budgeting advice fails. What you need is to understand the environment you are actually operating in. So let us start there. Go back about 15 years. Before smartphones were everywhere. Before one-click checkout. Before streaming subscriptions that auto-renew without you ever thinking about them again. Spending required effort. You drove to a store. You carried cash or handed over a card. You waited in line. Each of those small steps was a natural speed bump. It was a moment where your brain had a chance to ask, do I actually want this? Behavioral economists call this the pain of paying. When spending requires physical action, your brain registers it as a loss. That feeling creates hesitation. And hesitation saves money. Now think about what happened to every one of those speed bumps. Cards replaced cash. Online shopping replaced stores. One-click replaced checkout pages. Subscriptions replaced one-time purchases. Buy now pay later removed the price entirely from the moment of buying. Every single one of those changes was sold to you as convenience. And it was convenient. But it also systematically destroyed every natural moment of hesitation between wanting something and owning it. This is not accidental. The companies that built these systems track conversion rates down to the millisecond. They know that every extra step in a checkout process loses customers. So they eliminated every extra step. And with each one they removed a moment where you might have changed your mind. You did not lose your willpower. You lost your speed bumps. And nobody told you. Now, let us talk about what happens in your brain before any of this even gets to willpower. Most people think the reward from buying something comes after the purchase. You get the thing, and you feel good. But that is not how dopamine actually works. Dopamine is the chemical your brain uses to motivate behavior. It is released in anticipation of a reward, not in response to it. The spike happens in the moment of desire, not the moment of satisfaction. This is why the excitement of ordering something online is almost always greater than the excitement of receiving it. The brain already cashed out its reward while you were still browsing. This has one enormous practical consequence. Your brain has no incentive to stop at the purchase. The dopamine was in the wanting. So once you buy, the wanting just moves to the next thing. And the next. And the next. Every major retail app and social platform is engineered around this exact mechanism. Infinite scroll exists because stopping the scroll would stop the dopamine loop. Recommendation algorithms exist to keep desire perpetually refreshed. Wish lists exist to keep you in a permanent state of anticipation. You are not weak for feeling this pull. You are human. But now you know where it comes from. That knowledge is the first real tool you have against it. Here is the layer that goes even deeper. This is the one that I think most people completely miss. A significant portion of your spending has nothing to do with what you are buying. It has everything to do with what you are feeling when you buy it. There is a specific emotional signature to most impulse spending. You feel some version of discomfort. Stress, boredom, loneliness, or frustration. You feel a vague sense that something is missing. Then, buying something creates a brief, immediate sense of relief. It feels like control. It feels like a reward. A tiny moment where you did something for yourself. Your brain notices this. It files it away. And the next time that same discomfort shows up, it reaches for the same solution. Not because you decided to spend, but because spending has been neurologically encoded as a response to that emotional trigger. This is why people who track every dollar and set strict budgets still find themselves making purchases they cannot explain. The tracking addresses the symptoms. The emotional trigger is still running underneath, completely untouched. So let us get practical. Because awareness without action is just frustration. The goal is not to stop spending. Spending is not the enemy. Unconscious spending is the enemy. And the difference between the two comes down to one thing: a pause. Not a long pause. Just a pause long enough for your rational brain to catch up to your emotional one. The simplest tool for this is a waiting period. Use 24 hours for anything under $100. Use 72 hours for anything larger. Not to talk yourself out of it, just to wait. What you will find is that most of those purchases simply lose their urgency on their own. The second tool is environmental. You cannot resist temptation you are constantly exposed to. Remove shopping apps from your home screen. Turn off notifications. Unsubscribe from retail emails. This is not deprivation. This is changing your environment so it stops working against you. The real gap is between people who are conscious participants in their financial lives and people who are passive ones. You now understand the forces acting on your decisions. You understand the frictionless environment. You understand the dopamine mechanism. You understand the emotional loop. None of this makes you immune. That is not the point. The point is that you now have a 1-second window between the impulse and the action that you did not have before. And in that 1 second, you can choose instead of reacting. Most people never get that window. Now you have it. Use it.